Hey everyone, welcome to Masters 24. Hopefully you guys are doing well and are in high spirits. Now, the question I have for you is, do you have a job interview coming up? Are you nervous? Don't know what to do, what to say, and you're just pretty much frozen thinking about it at this point? Then you're not alone. And today I'm going to reveal secrets of how to deal with that job interview and how you can nail it, get the job, and whatever questions that they're going to ask you, you answer it with confidence. Now, I would say the first thing you would actually have to know is why interviewers ask these tough questions. And you got to understand too that it's not about them trying to trick you as much as you think. It's just they want to see how your reactions are under pressure. Handling feedback and just solving problems. So instead of just like fearing them, you could just pretty much learn and master them more so than just winging it or just assume it, how to deal with these questions. Question number one, tell me about yourself. Now it's going to be asked differently. Sometimes some people would say, tell me a little about yourself, or tell me about yourself and what it is that you like to do, or something similar to that nature. It's still the same thing as just tell me about yourself, right? Here's the secret. This isn't your life story. You want to try to focus on your professional journey and your key strengths and what you can bring to this opportunity. And you pretty much keep it within 90 seconds. You don't want to go over 90 seconds, especially if you're just beginning, because you want to keep it short and sweet. You want to talk about your past experiences, your present experiences, and your future experiences. So it's just like, for example, I will leave the example on the top of the screen here. I think here, I'll leave it here. So it gives you an idea of what it is that you should say, and basically understanding that this isn't about you per se, it's more so about the professionalism that you will bring to the workplace. So please keep that in mind. It's not about you. It's about what they want to hear and also what you can bring to the table. This question I had to bring back on the list. I spoke about this in a private segment by itself. And I think that was one of the most number one biggest questions that people get wrong is the same thing that you would say, what is your greatest weakness? Or what is your weakness? Now, I'm just going to iterate it a little bit. I definitely did talk about that. You can check it out here. You really have to keep it professional. You don't want to overly talk about the things that you did in your personal life. You actually want to basically just speak on the things that you were doing in your workplace, in your present time, dealing with that place. So just the secret to that, I would say for me, is be honest and show growth. So when you're honest, you will pretty much get further with them because they want to know exactly how sure you are in getting this job. And not only that, if there's room to improve with your journey with that company. So, and that growth is the same way. It will go the same way. It would pretty much be like you are being a part of this company and you're growing with this company. Like I said before in the previous video, you don't want to show that you're a perfectionist, that you can do it all, that you know everything, that you just perfect, that you're just a hard worker, and you just know. They want to see real life person. You gotta understand, right? They don't know you. They don't understand your methods. They don't know why you want to work in this company. They don't know why you're here. So this is why the interviews are conducted the way they are, because they want to see what you are mentally. Now, I know a lot of people is going to look at it a certain way, like, hey, well, sometimes it's good to get a little personal, to bring out character and bring out, get people to feel comfortable around you. That is okay. But for a beginner, especially a person that never really had conversations with people, that don't know how to, bait back to the things that they talked about before, or, they just don't know how, they just all over the place mentally. This video is pretty much for them, because they have to understand that your personal life doesn't reflect your professional life. And just because that other company hired you because you talked about your personal life doesn't mean this 6-figure income place or whatever other job that you go to is going to have that same effect. So definitely have to keep that in mind. It's like, for an example, I just want to bring it up. It's just like saying that you was having troubles public speaking, but if you're taking, communication workshops, and now you recently, becoming more open and more talkative and aware, so something similar to that nature, especially if you're dealing with customer service. They just want to see how far you will go and understanding that you are suitable for the job. This question here kind of resembles the question that I asked in the previous one about what is your weakness. This here is, tell me a time that you failed. This question here has to be answered a little bit different, because the key secret to this question is focus on what you learn. That is the secret. Focus on what you learn. And it goes by that little STAR method. I don't know if anybody ever heard of it. It's situation, task, action, result. Situation, task, action, result. So, and how to deal with that question is that, let's say that you would say, I missed out on a deadline for a client and I took responsibility, and I wound up creating a system to prevent me from ever letting it happen again. Something similar to that nature. That is one of the things that they will definitely want to seek and want to hear from you, that you was able to take a timeline that wasn't right, or a situation that wasn't right, and then you made it better for the company. So that is, like I said, it kind of sounds similar to my weakness, but you got to remember, my weakness is your personal growth. And tell me the time that you failed is something similar to that one specific task that you messed up and you wind up fixing it. So two totally different questions. I know it sounds weird, but those are the type of questions they would definitely ask. So keep that in mind. Now, this other question is something that everyone pretty much look forward to answering, and that's, why should we hire you? And it's pretty much simple as what it sounds like. A lot of people would pretty much say, because I have this skill, I have that skill, I have this skill. They pretty much want you to match your skills for their needs. That's the secret. You got to match their skills for what their needs are. Because if you sit there and say all these other skills that has nothing to do with the job you're applying for, then basically they're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make sense to them that you would just speak out on different type of skill sets that has nothing to do with the job. And I would give you an example of what you should say. Is like, you need someone that could pretty much hit the ground running, with customer satisfaction. And also, I've done things like this before with a 20% high rate, something similar to that, because they want to see the reason why they should push you in their company. And if you don't have that reasoning, or they don't feel like you answered it correctly, especially according to what their needs are, because you have to think about what they may be going through. They may have other interviews that they have to conduct, or they may be having a bad day. So you got to be very precise, very direct, and just speak on something that that they may want to hear. This question is something that that I was struggling in at one point, and I had to pretty much understand that this question is definitely not something that you would expect another job to say. Is, why are you leaving your current job? Now, this question don't really come up as often, but when it does come up, you're like, you don't know what to say or how to convey that answer. And the first thing I would say, and I learned this from experience, because I remember it was a logistic job that I was trying to get into, a little story time. And I was bashing the mess out this old job. I was just saying all these things about this old job that was bad. And I thought this company was great and I wanted to be into it. But you can't do that. And that's the thing. You cannot bash another company. And that is the secret. Stay positive and don't bash the other job. No job bashing is allowed. And it's weird, because we fall into this thing where as though we want to try to make this company look great and make that company look bad. But that's not the case. The case is for you to understand that if you could bash this other company, then what makes you think that if you get fired from this company that you're in an interview with, that you won't bash them as well? And I hate using the word bash, but that's just pretty much what it is. So yes, you do not want to do that at all. I'm gonna tell you what to do. You basically just, you're looking for a new challenge, somewhere to grow, somewhere that you could align yourself with, that is, long-term goals, and just, you're excited to head to a direction, to a different company, something similar to that. Just make sure that you're speaking on this in a light where as though you're happy to want to grow and want to advance in your career and in your life goals. Because I'm gonna tell you something, a lot of people, when they say these questions like, oh, this last job was bad, they did this to me, they did that to me, they didn't have this, they didn't have that, it makes you look like an informant. It sounds crazy, but it doesn't make you look good in their light. So you really have to keep that in mind. Understand that everything is not personal. It is definitely professional, and you have to keep it in a professional level. Now, here are some bonus power tips that I would pretty much want to give you guys before I wrap this up. Is the first one I would say, practice out loud. Now, you don't want to sit back here and say it in your head, and you want to be familiar, you want to feel comfortable, you want to practice out loud and make sure that you can hear yourself talk. So when you're in that interview, you will feel more comfortable just speaking out, saying the things you already heard from yourself, and you're just pretty much going about it in your own way, in your own terms. And also research the company. I think a lot of people don't really do that, because basically it gives you the edge of knowing their missions, their products and their culture. I think that's the most important thing too, because if you go into an interview not knowing whatever it is that they have, then you're pretty much not going to get the job at all. And just prepare questions for them. I know it was a few interviews too that I prepared questions to ask them. I thought it was interesting, and the interviewer actually allowed it because it was something that was different to them. And it just made sense for me to interview them to see where they are mentally and in their culture, and if it aligns to my morals and what I want to work for. And just also, I would say the next thing is to follow up too. Following up is really great. It gives them a chance to actually meet a great person as yourself. Send them a thank you letter, or an email, within 24 hours of the interview, just giving them thanks and letting them know that, it was a great interview. I remember doing that as well in the past, so that actually does work. Especially, like I said, if they're having a hard time and they have all these interviews, just them knowing that you actually cared about their time will actually make them feel a lot better. I promise you that. We reached the end of this video. So the thing is, I just want to say this, is that interviews don't have to be scary, especially if you prepare for them. Practice these answers and, stay calm, and just remember, you're not being interviewed, you will be also interviewing them. So if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you know somebody is actually going through this issue of being nervous about being into a job interview and not knowing what to say in these interviews. I think this would be a great method for them to follow up on, at least, understanding what it is and why the interview is the way they are. Anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the comments, all the likes, all the subscribers. I cannot believe that I have 56 subscribers right now. Coming from not having any subscribers, I definitely appreciate everybody in this sector. I'm just proud of everyone that actually just at least hearing me out and understanding that everything doesn't have to be just all jokes and fun and games and stuff. Things could be serious too. And I'm not saying I'm a serious person all the time, but I know when things need to be said, and I may not be the most popular, but I'm the most practical, like I always say. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm out of here. Take care.